Meyer.
Thank you. Over the past, say, 100,000 years of human evolution, humans have made decisions quickly, based on instinct, based on intuition. We didn't have the luxury of sitting down for a month to think about a problem. These were fight or flight type of decisions. Nowadays, decision making is very different. We have to make decisions that will affect us far into the future. We have to make decisions. We have a lot more information upon which to base our decisions. Decisions can affect hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people. Important decisions made by political leaders, made by the Supreme Court, made by the people who manufacture the brakes for school buses, important decisions about the environment. We hope these people take their time and get it right. Unfortunately, thinking for a long time is not something that comes naturally. Thinking about a problem for a long time is not, we didn't evolve to do that. We have to focus. We have to have some mental stamina. We have to develop mental stamina. And the way to do that is very similar to developing physical stamina. You work hard. You want to get in physical shape, you work hard. You want to get into mental shape, you work hard. Sometimes you're thinking about a problem and you get tired. And you get sick of thinking about this problem. But if you keep going, you're going to develop mental stamina. And it takes hard work. There's some differences. If you want to get into physical shape, you can swim back and forth in a pool. Or you can lift weights up and down, up and down, up and down. You can run on a treadmill. If you want to get into mental shape, you have to have a new experience. The brain requires novelty. Another thing that's different, physical fitness is easily quantifiable. You can take your pulse. You can time yourself for a mile. You can get on the bathroom scale and weigh yourself. You get feedback all the time. But mental fitness is hard to quantify, unless you have an MRI in your bathroom. And physical fitness, you can look at somebody, right? He's in physical shape. If you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time, hey, you've been working out? Hey, you look like you lost some weight. Now, it's not very often where you say to somebody, hey, you've been working on a hard problem. It looks like you have a lot more neurons in your frontal lobe. This doesn't happen. If it happened, we wouldn't have to have job interviews. We have job interviews to figure out if the candidate has developed some mental fitness, some mental strength, and some mental stamina, can sit there for an hour and try to solve a new problem that they have not experienced. This is a skill that employers are looking for today. Problem-solving ability. This is what I did after finishing graduate school. Went to a big research center, 250 people. We solved problems all day. That's what you're hired for, is to solve problems. I went to a weekly meeting, talked about all the problems we had. There was one of the problems we're working on for a long time. It's called the disc centrifuge photosedimentometer. It turns out that was my problem. They stick it to the new guy to see what I could do. It's a complicated piece of equipment to measure particle size. There's some water there. That's a disc of water. Very slowly. It takes like 20 minutes to go a few centimeters. The forces on the particles are the buoyancy force, which is a function of pressure, which is a function of the radius, and there's the viscous drag force, which you can't ignore because the particles are nanometer size. They get to the end, and there's a laser going through at a right angle. The particles block the light. You have some light scattering problems. A very complicated problem. I went back to my desk and I said to myself, what made them think that I could solve this problem? This is a hard problem. I can't solve this problem. It would take a PhD in physics to solve this problem. Oh, I just got my PhD in physics. That's probably why they hired me, to figure out this problem. So I was thinking about all my options, and finally I said, you know who would love this problem? My sister, Mary, would love this problem. I called her up and I gave her the problem. We worked it out and we solved the problem. So I learned you don't have to be smart if you have smart people, smart friends. Social capital. I learned the importance of social capital. And I'm very fortunate to have a lot of social capital in my own family. My parents got married when they were 20 and 21. And over the next 6 years, they had 6 kids. So my father's 27 in graduate school. He has 6 kids. My mother worked nights as a nurse to support the family, so she's pregnant practically all the time. She's taking care of the kids, 3 kids in diapers, all day, and then my father would come home from the lab late at night, and she would go off to work as a nurse. I don't know how she did this. I don't think anybody knows. When we were young, we were taught intellectual independence, solve our own problems, think for ourselves. And if we made a mistake, we suffered the consequence of our actions. My mother would play games with us, memory, board games. She'd try to beat us as badly as she possibly could. Never let us win. If we made a mistake, she took advantage of that mistake. I remember playing chess with my father. I'd move a piece, he'd take it. Oh, I didn't see that. Can I take it back, Dad? No, you can't take it back. So I learned to think ahead and to accept the consequences of my decisions. Remember at Christmas, go down, all the presents under the tree. 2 XJ71962, love Mom and Dad. No names on the presents. We had to crack the code before we opened any of the presents. You probably think that that's mean, but we loved it. We loved it. Crack the code before we opened up any presents. The presents, we had a lot of puzzles and games. Games had names like Instant Insanity and Drives You Nuts, Soma Blocks, Impossible Square. Some of them I could get, some of them I couldn't get. After 2 weeks, he said, Dad, I can't get this one. Can you give me a hint? He says, it's okay if you can't get it. It's a hard problem. Maybe you'll get it when you're 5. Let's go fishing. So no help, but also no pressure. You know, if you can't get it, it's okay. And this worked because each of the kids now has a PhD. Physics, math, physics, mechanical engineering, classics. And the day the youngest went away to go to college, my mother went to graduate school to get her PhD. And my father likes to say, we're probably the only family of 8 in which everybody has a PhD, because anybody smart enough to have a PhD isn't stupid enough to have 6 kids. So at my job, I solved a lot of problems with all my social capital. I spent a lot of time on the phone, giving everybody problems. It was like I was the oldest, so everybody was in school trying to figure out all my problems. I was the only one with a job. So my boss said, you should interview people. We need problem solvers. So you become a recruiter. So I said, fine. I interviewed hundreds of people. What do I do with the job interview? Well, I want to know if they're good problem solvers. That's what I care about. That's what I do all day. So I give them questions. I say, here's a metal washer. You heat a metal, it expands. The atoms get a little bit further apart. So what happens to the size of the hole? Think about that. And think out loud and tell me what you're thinking. Solve this problem together. On a soccer ball, every pentagon is surrounded by 5 hexagons. Every hexagon is surrounded by 3 other hexagons and 3 pentagons. What's the ratio of hexagons to pentagons on a soccer ball? Think about that one. Samantha's 20 and thus twice as old as Allison was when Samantha was as old as Allison is today. How old is Allison? If you've spent a lot of time developing mental strength and stamina, you enjoy solving these type of problems. I also asked, what's the best idea you ever had? What's the hardest problem you've ever solved? What problems are you working on now? If you have a teenager at home, ask them, what's the hardest problem you've ever solved? If they don't have an answer, give them a problem. Give them an opportunity to solve a hard problem. Sometimes I give that washer problem, and the candidate, I said, does the hole get bigger or smaller? And they'd say, I don't know. I said, well, I know you don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I don't care what you know. I want to know what you can figure out. That's what I'm asking. Sometimes I felt like telling the applicant after 20 minutes, and I never said this, but I felt like saying this. I said, you should sue the university for your tuition. I don't know what you've been doing for 4 years, but you've not been developing the skills that we need to sit there and think and solve a new problem. We don't solve the old problems. Nobody's paying you to solve old problems. We have new problems to solve. So as a result of this happening over and over again, I said, I have to go back to academia and teach problem solving. So I did. I got a job as a professor at university, teach problem solving. What do? Students come in, I give them a hard problem to solve. The student says, I don't know how to do this problem. I said, yeah, I know you don't know. That's why I'm giving it to you. He said, well, no, this is not how it works. He's going to explain to me how this works. He says, you're the teacher. You tell us how to solve the problem, and then we solve it. I said, that's not my job. I have one job as a teacher. It doesn't matter whether I'm teaching business or history or political science or physics or problem solving. My only job is to I'm a personal trainer for their mind. I want to get them in mental shape. They come in, I give them a hard problem, I blow my whistle, and I say, start thinking hard. After 10 minutes, they say, my brain hurts. Good, no pain, no gain. Keep going. I'm done, I can't get it. They give me 10 more. 10 more reps, 10 more minutes. Keep going. Oh, I get it. I said, keep thinking. Keep thinking. And then as soon as they finish, I give them another one. They leave and they say, I need a nap. My brain is... And am I being mean? No, I just care about them. I want them to be able to contribute, to be a contributing member of society, to be able to have a new idea, to develop their brain. School is not a place to collect answers. It's a mental gymnasium to get into shape, new challenges. When I teach physics, sometimes I get students who says, Professor, when am I ever going to have to calculate the strength of a magnetic field? And I tell them, I'm honest, I say never. Never. You're never going to have to do it. I worked as a physicist for 10 years, and I never did that. But you know what? I was watching the football team practice the other day. They're all doing jumping jacks. Went to the game on Saturday, I didn't see one jumping jack. What were they doing that for? It's just exercise. They're getting ready. They're getting prepared. They're getting in shape for the game. That's why you're calculating magnetic field, is to become a good general problem solver, to develop your brain. Teaching problem solving, student says, Professor, I worked 2 hours on that problem you gave me last night. I didn't get it. What a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Waste of time. What better way is there for a college student to spend 2 hours than sitting there thinking really hard about a problem? The brain is growing, the neurons are growing, the connections are growing. You can't measure it. It's not apparent, but it's still there. It doesn't mean it's not happening. Then the same student will go over to the gym and spend 2 hours on the treadmill. I say, what are you doing that for? You didn't get anywhere. It's the same thing. It's exercise. They're just doing it for exercise. And if you're going to make decisions, important decisions that affect a lot of people, you better be in good mental shape. Or else the consequences can be terrible. In 1980, brand new hotel opened in Kansas City. Modern hotel, glass, big atrium. 3rd floor walkway all the way across, suspended from the ceiling. You could walk across the walkway and look over, look down both sides. Over here, 2nd floor walkway, 4th floor walkway above that, both suspended from the ceiling. About a year after it opened, dance competition. 1,600 people came. Everybody's on the floor, big bands, everybody's dancing. People are on the walkways looking down. And the whole thing came down. This is the #1 architectural disaster in the history of the United States. There's the 4th floor walkway. There's the 2nd floor walkway on top of it. There's the bottom of the 3rd floor walkway you can still see. There's where the 2nd floor walkway was. No terrorism, no sabotage, no hurricane, no earthquake, somebody not thinking. That's the only thing that happened here. Somebody didn't have mental stamina. They didn't think long enough about a decision that affected other people. And I'm going to show you what happened. This is the original design. There's the lower walkway. There's some nuts on these rods that are suspended from the ceiling that are threaded on that supports the upper walkway. The problem with the rods is that they're long. That's the 2nd floor, that's the 4th floor. Goes all the way up to the ceiling. Problematical to manufacture and transport. So they made the rod shorter. They redesigned it. They modified the design. Now it doesn't take a degree in engineering to figure out what's going to happen here. But this was approved. And it caused the big problem. And I'm not going to tell you the answer. You can think about it later. I don't want to rob you of an opportunity to solve a problem. So, in summary, the human race has a lot of problems right now. A lot of challenges, let's call them challenges. And if we want to get the next generation ready to solve these problems, they have to have 2 things. They have to have passion, they have to care, and they have to have the mental fitness, because the problems are hard. They have to be in good mental shape. And I'm here to tell you that they have passion. It's fantastic. Young people today, they want to get in the game. They want to make a difference. They want to save the world. They want to fight social injustice. They want to fight poverty. They want to start a world citizen initiative. They want to do all this stuff. They want to save the polar bears. They want to save the pandas. They want to save the world. So let's help them. And the way to do that, if you know somebody, know a youngster, give them a really hard, challenging puzzle, and don't help them. My final thought is, go humans. Thank you for your time.
That was awesome. I see some of you are still thinking about the metal washer or the soccer ball. I've seen a soccer ball every day for like 16 years. Still can't figure out this stupid problem.